it's not even a half step out. Like it's just enough to ruin the best chord on a 12 string. That's the A minor chord. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, it's just, if I get on stage, you might not hear it in the camera as much, but if I get on stage, it's out. And once you hear it, it doesn't matter if it's out by a lot or a little, it will bug you. My mandolin's the same thing. When it's out, you just hear it. You know what I mean? And it's unforgiving. And once people hear it's out, they're like, dude, tune your guitar. Dude, tune your guitar. So you don't have to be out by a lot. It's just, it ruins the experience. So that's unfortunately the fretwear. I could live with the fretwear because it's not really affecting the playability that much. But there is an awful lot of fretwear for for the price range of this guitar. You see all, and again, I'm not playing extra heavy strings here. I'm trying to play the lightest 12-string strings I can get for acoustic, right? And that's usually 10s. I just accidentally picked up 11s on this one. So unfortunately, those are the issues I've experienced. I'm sure somebody's going to come along and say, I've had mine for 10 years and never had an issue with it. And I'm glad you have. There's a guy that I played his. He had the same model. He paid $700 and something for his. I think $750 for his. $100 more. It sounded brilliant, and he had just bought it, and I mean, it played even better than this one when it was new. So I'm like, okay, fine, but it's a satin finish one, so obviously you get a little more tone out of it. And I played it live, in front of a crowd and stuff like that, and I was like, this guitar is just brilliant. But I'll be interested to see next year how it held up for him. So, I know this is made in China, and I don't want to put it all on, okay, because it's made in China. There's a lot of stuff made in China. I think that guitar is made in China. Half of my guitars are either Indonesia or China or wherever they're made, except for my Gibsons are made in the USA. My LTD there is made in Indonesia. Where they're made isn't as much of an issue anymore. You know what I mean? Back in the 80s and 90s it was. And I used to say that the average guitar would last about 3 years before you'd see so much wear and tear on it that, it's like it's time to start thinking about a new guitar. But at this price range, you're usually not expecting that. Now, adjust for inflation, a $300 guitar in 1990 would probably be a $600 or $700 guitar now. But the manufacturing is so much better now. So, unfortunately, I'm not saying I'll never buy another TAC again. I'm not like that, because I do love the brand. I love the headstock. I love the look of it. I love the logo. It's just, yeah. Tuning pegs, the tuners have been good. They get a little heavy when you don't tune evenly, but that's a thing that's a 12-string thing. It's like tune from the center out sometimes, tune all your main strings and then tune your drones after, there's a lot of little tricks that you could do to get your guitar perfectly in tune. I forget which player it is. I just heard somebody say it the other night. I thought it was kind of funny because the truth to it, some really renowned 12-string player was saying that he spent half of his life tuning the 12-string and the other half playing out of tune. And I'm like, that does sound about right. Now, that said, up on the stage, although I was only up there for 15 minutes, but again, it was a total different room, and the guitar was there for several hours. It held the tuning all 3 songs. I had no problem with that. So, the thing is the guitar holds the tuning I give it for like 2-3 hours. Like this guitar just doesn't seem to move that way. It's not intonated. So it's not a tuning issue. It's an intonation issue. And that intonation issue is just, I don't know how you solve it without, how can you not have, how can you have the low action and the intonation at the same time? Well, you have to, adjust your bridge, and there is ways of doing it. I just put a little piece of wood here just to kind of pull a little more tension. If I can get maybe a little more on that, maybe I'll solve the issue totally. But you shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to jury rig things on a guitar a year and a half after buying it. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Again, it's still a great guitar, but if they want $750, $800 for that, we're talking Canadian prices. I'm sure it's like $2 American. It's just too much money they have to step up the quality. Now, if I got the Fluke guitar, great, but I would love to hear from other G series owners, you know, have you had these issues that I'm mentioning? Because I do plan on buying another tack, you know, going up. But the problem is this guitar, had it not had those issues and everything was working fine, when I get the pickup fixed again, if I decide, because I would love to keep this guitar because I do love the sound of it. It sounds so good. Not the best sounding guitar in the world, but it's a guitar. It's recording. It records very nice. A lot of bottom end. You got to really back off the bottom end, but a great sounding, deep sounding guitar. Very evenly balanced for the most part. Especially with the light touch pick, you know, like or when you. So you get everything you want out of it, and then when you want to. You get all that, right? So it does that thing that you want it to do. You get the, you know, you play near the bridge, you get the pinginess. You know, play here, you get the smoothness, right? So it's so good, but it's kind of like, it's like a supermodel with a wart on her face. You know what I mean? Like it's so upsetting that you like it that much, and you know you can't get everything you want out of it. So the fate of this guitar, well, I don't want to buy another one in case I run into the same problems. And again, I know you'll always hear about the Lemon guitar first. I'm sure there's probably G series owners that have this same guitar. They've been playing it for 10 years and you know, hasn't missed a beat. And I'd love to hear from you guys too, because we always hear about the bad things, you know. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody from buying this guitar. I'm just saying this has been my experience, and you know, if these issues are common with these guitars, you know, maybe TAC needs to do something about that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because again, what's not to like about this thing? You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the coolest acoustics I've ever owned, and then it does that. The wart. She's so pretty, but the wart. And it's right on her nose or something. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, there we go. So unfortunately, at this stage, I have to say I would not buy this guitar again. I don't know if I will, because I do love the Dreadnought. I love all that. Like, this is the sound I kind of want. You know, for the money, you know what I mean? Especially right now, if these guitars are going between $750 and $800, I mean that's way too much for what you're getting. They need to step up the game to be able to charge that. I get there's inflation and stuff like that, but they could still produce this guitar for the same price that they did and up the quality. You know what I mean? It's just, do they want to, right? So anyway, I'll leave it at that. So that's a year and a half of owning it. We'll see if I still have it next year. You'll find out whether the thing's just folded up on me, whatever. Like I say, the tuners have held up, the bridge is held up, the fingerboard is still straight, stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? Like, and I can't really put any tension on the neck, because then I'll be fretting out. You know what I mean? Like the action is perfect from like up to here, between the nut and the you know, and that. So anyway, those are the issues I got, and there we go. That's the guitar. But yeah, so there you go.